Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a watch along as India taking on Bangladesh in their World Cup warm up game. It is the mega preview Group A, which includes India and, of course, Pakistan. Not to forget the host USA, Canada, and the all important, yep, you guessed it. Talking about who is the first?
Ireland, Avnish. It's Ireland. I was just waiting. I was hoping Avnish will figure the end of it. But
Everyone guessed it except Avnish.
I mean, yeah, I was just having a couple of Irish beers, so to speak. But kudos
exactly,
on that.
Guinness ये सब याद रखना पड़ता है भाई क्या?
No, and the fact that the watch along, the first ever watch along this World Cup will be against Ireland. So apologies for that, but nevertheless, an absolute comical start to the show for the group preview of India and Pakistan, like I said. And it is the fourth one. We've done three. It's been cracking. Let's get on to the fourth one. My name's Avnish Hegde, and the introductions, of course, similar panel as yesterday. I'll ask Akshay how he was because he was buoyant mood apparently with the cricket going on personally in his life right now. Office bragging.
I mean, two blinders. That's something very upsetting. Getting out to two blinders just makes you. Oh, but it's all right. It's all right. All's well that ends well. It was a very well contested game.
And that too to Shubh.
हाँ मतलब क्या करे अभी वो चिपक गया. I did win the game by hitting 2 sixes off Shubh in the end, so I guess revenge extracted.
Okay, so how's everything with you? Because I know you're climatizing yourself. How is the climate? And can you just give us a little bit of insight at the weather? Because we heard in Dallas for the first game, the US-Canada one, a hoarding was blown off because of the storm, and there's not that much of a buzz. Uber drivers don't know anything. Billboards don't signify anything. Can you tell us more?
Something similar in New York as well. I didn't see any, promotional buzz, so to speak, but I think that's how it is. But it's largely for the subcontinent community, and they know that there is going to be a India-Pakistan game and other India games. As usual, getting tickets at a reasonable price is a challenge, which is always the case. I think that they just need to build bigger stadiums in terms of capacity. But apart from that, I think so. As I told you guys yesterday, I'm not in New York right now, but when I was there, it was a little wet. But towards the evening, not early morning. So all the games are going to be early morning to suit India time. That was bright and sunny. So expecting similar weather for the games moving forward.
Okay, super. More with you in just a bit, previewing all these games and, of course, Group A. Jeet, how much are you looking forward to that first ever game, USA versus Canada? I know it's not caught fire yet, and if you think about it, it's fitting that it's cricket's oldest rivalry, 1844, and here we are 180 years later for the T20 World Cup.
A historic rivalry, if it makes sense. A group which has got two neighbors, one which has got no hype but lives up to the billing or the kind of class that it has. And one has got a lot of hype, talk, buzz, but never lives up. So I would rather actually prefer watching USA Canada, which should be a cracking game. So yeah, all prep for that. I know it's an early morning start, but oh well, we'll have to adjust to the time cycles now.
We'll have to. It's going to be happening at the Grand Prairie Stadium in Dallas, and 7,000 odd can, of course, have that seating capacity. And I hope that it is something which catches fire in that part of the world, because what's the point of playing cricket otherwise in the USA? Now, we'll talk about all teams as usual. I won't give you the order because I want you guys to stay locked in and tuned in to this mega preview and get chatty with your comments, because remember, we're over 85K in terms of subscribers on YouTube, and it's a community we've built, which is an absolute beauty. So go on and subscribe if you guys are enjoying our content. Priyanshu Dhawan reminding us kindly that there is a match today with regards to India Bangladesh in that World Cup warm-up game. Just quickly, guys, I know Jeet and Akshay are back in India, but I'm struggling to find a stream here, and I'll probably go to some sort of sports bar to get a glimpse of the game. So how are you following it there? Because I don't think Hotstar is available if you're using it.
So US will be a challenge. I think they Willow TV has the rights, but when I will be back in the Netherlands before the Super 8s, there you can watch it on the ICC website. So ICC streams it on a lot of countries where they don't have an official broadcaster.
Yeah, but Willow TV is the name which rings a bell if you're watching in that part of the world. Prayash Fuyal, good to see you. If you're a new name, please subscribe, and good evening to you from Kathmandu. He goes on to say, you guys have got the best analysis out there. That honestly makes us feel very, very good to get another cracking preview out of the way. So tell a friend about us. And I know lots of people jumped onto our bandwagon from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal in that Group A preview. And we appreciate it. And you guys are loving our content and continue loving it for the World Cup too. Right, let's start with the arch rival in Pakistan, lads, because I know they got blown away, so to speak, by Archer Wood in England in that rain curtailed series. But I'm just thinking to myself, what can we expect from Pakistan? Not the same typical answer, not the being the fact that they're mercurial and all of that. So just when I say Pakistan, do you think they can unearth something crazy this tournament?
I think Pakistan is one team who's always had a very good T20 World Cup. No matter how their cycle has been, no matter how messed up they look when they enter the tournament, but somehow T20 is a format which works for them, given their mercurial. So less number of overs to make mistakes, and of course there is a lot of bowling talent out there. So as usual, they would be relying on their bowling to sort of bail them out on almost every game.
Yeah, indeed. And the bowling, just of course, Shaheen Shah Afridi gives me still jitters as an Indian fan, even though we've got the wood over him and that Pakistan lot. 9th of June, remember, pen it down wherever you are, India, Pakistan in New York, which is going to be a tasty one indeed. Before I get into the strengths and weaknesses, the best 11 and the MVP for all three of the lads, of course, quick fact file check on the Pakistanis, because they did win the tournament once, like India in 2009, thanks to certain Shahid Afridi at Lords, dismantling Dilshan in Sri Lanka, if I remember right. But then the World Cup percentage win, like Som said, they do actually turn up pretty well in T20 World tournaments. Look at last time out in 2022, everyone thought they were going to, get out of the tournament. They made up the final. So you can write them off at your own peril, and legends in terms of the most runs and most wickets in this competition. Akshay, Pakistan, as an Indian fan, do they scare you on that 9th of June game?
Fitting that the guy wearing the India jersey is going to be talking about Pakistan. Just thought कि इसी के लिए खास इसी के लिए पहनूंगा, and yeah, very interesting side. And if I am to sort of stay away from the cliches, it sort of becomes very hard to define Pakistan. We've always sort of spoken about them. At least conversations around Pakistan entering the World Cup have always been slightly negative. Kya hoga inka and stuff like that. But like Somesh mentioned, they've not been the worst when it comes to T20 World Cups. Barring 2016, they've had more than decent run in every other edition. So it just goes on to show that jo bhi ho, they have the bowling attack, and they've sort of, और कोई दूसरे cliche की नहीं बात करूंगा, but of course the one cliche, batters win your matches, bowlers win your tournaments. With Pakistan, at least that's one thing that's always been in their favor. They've had more than competent bowling attacks historically, and that seems to be the case this time as well. So all in all, on paper, a very interesting squad that they've gone for. It's very skewed in some sense. Their batting lineup is very skewed. They've gone for a lot of top order options, very few middle order options. And similarly, if you look at their bowling, they've got a lot of extreme, high pace bowlers. But in terms of variation, in terms of who's going to sort of, be their designated dead bowler, who's going to sort of help them get those wickets in the new ball, who's going to bowl in the middle. Naam hai, of course, when you look at names, of course, they've got plenty of them. Who's going to actually come and sort of, hold their hand out there? I'm not sure. It'll be very interesting, especially given how the England series, the Ireland series, and even the New Zealand series panned out for them. It seems to be tricky, but you would expect Pakistan to come out on top.
Jeet, where do you sit with the men in green? Because, like I keep saying, they can give you the best of best days as fans, or the worst of worst days as fans. Dare I mention an IPL team which does the same? But look, three names which catch my eye, which really aren't in everyone's periphery. One is Sam Ayub. The second is Abrar Ahmed, the spinner. And the third is Usman Khan. And I've heard Mark Butcher talk highly about Usman Khan. So can you just give me a little verification of these three players and the viewers, and what else do you feel the Pakistan could bring to the table?
So coming to these three players first, starting with Sam Ayub, a very, very aggressive left-handed opener, something that Pakistan have lacked in the top order for years and years.
All right. I'm not sure what's happened there, but sorry, I just got a bit caught up with a couple of my own things. In terms of the Pakistan team, sorry, what was the question? I also lost track of it. Thank you so much.
No, I was just paying attention more on some of the X factors.
Correct. Usman Khan was the name you mentioned. And
Yeah, because I
definitely
know
Usman Khan is yeah.
Yeah, correct. I know Sam Ayub essentially is being dubbed as the next big thing in Pakistan cricket, but even Abrar Ahmed, right, Akshay, I think he can probably make a few eyebrows raised in this tournament.
He can, but I'm not sure if Abrar Ahmed will get a go in the beginning. Sam Ayub, like you mentioned, has also been given a run by the Pakistani think tank. So that way, you would expect him to sort of get the opportunity before Usman Khan. But to be honest, based on what little I could see of Usman Khan in the England series and also the PSL as well in general, he seems to be a far better attacking option. Sam Ayub, the one thing that's going for him is he's coming off a fantastic CPL. And because most of these games are going to be played in the Windies, you would expect Pakistan to sort of depend on him because he also was a part of the title winning team, which was Ghana Amazon Warriors. He opened for them. He even did well for them in the playoffs. Final, maybe he scored a good 47 balls, 63 if I'm not wrong. All in all, he's done well there, but his recent form has been woeful. He's hardly done anything of note. And importantly, Sam Ayub, although is regarded to be an aggressive batter, unlike Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam, numbers देखोगे तो उतना कुछ खास फर्क है ही नहीं. So he
Yeah.
sort of suffers from the Ishan Kishan problem. Boundaries marta, but at the same time he ends up dotting a bit too much. So because of which his overall strike rate does not really reflect that attacking instinct that you want. And Usman Khan, on the other hand, the fifth T20I, or I mean fourth T20I between Pakistan and England, he got it 20 ball 38. I mean, not too big a knock, but if someone sort of caught the highlights of that game and the way he played Markwood, the way he played Adil Rashid in particular, would inspire a lot of confidence, particularly. But again, the problem with Pakistan is they've got 6 top order batters. Yeah, there's Sam Ayub, Fakhar Zaman, Usman Khan, Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan. Sorry, beg your pardon. 5 top order batters, and they will be most likely fielding at least 3 of them, if not 4. Just goes on to show, मतलब किसको कहाँ पे खिलाना है. And then there's Azam Khan and Iftikhar Ahmed. Those are the only 2 designated middle order batters they've got, and they themselves haven't. Iftikhar has hardly had game time. Azam Khan, we saw the brute of delivery he got from Markwood, and people have already written him off. Personally, I do like Azam Khan. I do like what I've seen of him. Sure, I mean, those conventional looking cricketers and stuff like that. There's been a lot of conversation around that as well, that he's not the fittest of cricketers. So can he sort of, play international cricket? Can he play top tier cricket with some reasonable amount of proficiency? But I do think he can. I do think he can. So yeah, let's see.
So I just want to ask you the strengths and weaknesses of Pakistan, the glaring ones, that too, but supplement it with also telling me what kind of style of cricket do Pakistan play. We understand the style of New Zealand, for example. We understand the style of Australia and England more recently, India to a certain degree. What is Pakistan? Because everyone thinks they're stuck in 2014, playing cricket in T20s, getting to 170, 175, and then hoping for the likes of Shaheen, Shadab to come to the party. Do you think they're still in that modus operandi?
They have to, right? If you look at their batting lineup, not a lot has changed. It is those similar names who have been playing T20 World Cups and have that strike rate in question for a while now. But still, they end up doing well because of their bowling attack. So Pakistan will remain a bowling heavy team for at least this World Cup, and I mean it works for them because it sets them apart from all the other teams. So it's how they function. What I've seen from them is they usually get a while to get their 11 sorted. They start with a betting heavy team, and then they realize that they are not using their number 8 enough in either department, and they end up bringing him a Mohammad Wasim Jr. kind of a player who's a bowler first. So that is something that I'd be keen to see. But given that this World Cup is a little relaxed, teams are essentially playing 4 warm-up games before the actual Super 8 start, and that's how I'm looking at this. So plenty of time for them to figure things out. One strength that I feel can work in Pakistan's favor is the CPL experiences of their players, because we put out a post on this and also on our Insta page and website that looking at the entire squad combined, Pakistan players have played 152 CPL games, which is the most. So
Even more than West Indies.
even more than West Indies. Can you imagine that? So I mean that I mean, how much will that translate to having a good tournament? That will be a factor of pitches as well, but at least they would know the ground dimensions and stuff like that. So I mean, at least there is some positive on paper on that front.
Yeah, I mean, that's a remarkable stat if people are watching or listening for the first time. I didn't know that, to be fair, with that much of experience coming out from that tournament, and hopefully it adds value, because one thing is knowing the conditions, two is going and performing in a tournament like this, and Pakistan are no stranger to doing that. Before I get back to the boys, let me just start with the best 11s with Som himself, because you mentioned the number 8 conundrum. Do you see any other fits and misfits, and what is the combination we're looking at here? Because I again go back to the group A fixtures, and we know that Pakistan are playing against India in New York, but they don't have to worry about the spin friendly surfaces in the Caribbean just as yet. So do you think it's going to be Shaheen, Harris, and then of course Shadab is your spinner, probably Abrar as well? Talk to me about your 11 and your bowlers in particular.
So actually, in my opinion, their 11 would be pretty much dependent on where Babar Azam is batting. If he's opening, then probably that rules Sam Ayub out, and then they can add an extra bowler. But if Babar Azam is ready to bat at 3, that means Ayub will open with Rizwan, which they have pretty much done throughout the cycle. If you look at their openers, these two have opened the most for Pakistan. And then Babar comes at 3, Fakar at 4, and Azam Khan 5. Then you have the two all-rounders, 3 all-rounders, right? Iftikhar, Imad Wasim and Shadab Khan, and the 3 gun pacers to wrap up the 9, 10, 11 in Shaheen Shah, Haris Rauf and Naseem Shah. But yeah, if a batter goes out, then they can add Abbas Afridi or any other pacer as well.
Going by that England series, boys, I feel Sam Ayub wasn't tested out, was he? Because it was a similar Babar Rizwan sitch at the top. They have Fakar at 4. So you feel like that top 4 will involve those 3, and then probably an Usman Khan or Sam Ayub on the day, given matchups and so on and so forth. Iftikhar, I think, has a role this tournament, coming in probably above the wicketkeeper, and Shadab will also float more than just be a standalone 7. I think Iftikhar will just probably be that insurance that they need in run chases to get them over the line. Jeet, do you agree or disagree with Som's playing 11 or best 11 in terms of his internet's a little choppy, pretty choppy, but I hope you can hear me. Jeet, am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is it perfect?
Yeah, perfect. So just list me your playing 11 batting order wise for Pakistan, especially against that game against India. What do you think they'll do? Any surprises?
I don't think there'll be any surprises. So I pretty much agree with what Som said. I believe they'll go back to Sam Ayub and Mohammad Rizwan as their openers, with Babar Azam coming in at number 3. Then number 4 is going to be Fakhar Zaman. They'll stick to him. Number 5 is going to be a battle between either, I don't know what they will do. Either they're going to go for Usman Khan after seeing that dismissal of Azam Khan. But I still believe they'll give a longer rope to Azam Khan because he has that CPL experience as well. So they'll probably stick to Azam Khan at number 5. Shadab is going to walk in at number 6. Then they'll have Iftikhar Ahmed, Imad Wasim, and then the 3 pacers. So more or less, it's very, very similar to So. It's just that whether they pick Sam Ayub or not is the only question, but I believe they will.
So you think they're 2 spin options, or essentially they have 3 spin options if you count Ifti Chacha as well as an off spinner. And it's an interesting point that he brought up about Azam Khan, Akshay, because then he has to keep. I mean, I don't know if Pakistan want casualties in the field, and with all due respect, Mohammad Rizwan is a better keeper, but he'll probably need to field in the outfield if Azam Khan's in, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and they don't have any other middle order options, right? The only way they can sort of replace Azam Khan is, like Jeet mentioned, by having another top order batter in Usman Khan batting in at number 5, which, to be honest, I don't know if it's going to be much of a value add. And I do agree. The 11, most of the players in the 11 pick themselves. The only bone of contention is going to be ki wo opener / number 3 pe kaun khelega. I have a feeling because Gary Kirsten's now walked in, he's a new guy in the setup. So I won't be surprised if Babar and Rizwan also end up opening, if they sort of go back to that tried and tested combination and sort of just stick to it. Or number 3 pe, they might... and number 3 pe, they might sort of go to Sam Ayub to begin with, and then eventually probably move to Usman Khan if Sam Ayub does not give those returns. With Sam Ayub, the thing is they've also given him, like England series, maybe in the second T20I, he opened. He failed there, which is why then they decided to open with Babar and Rizwan, and then they had Usman Khan coming in. But now that it's the World Cup, and Gary Kirsten will for the first time be linking with Pakistan, properly. I'm guessing he wasn't even a part of the last T20I of the England series. So given all of that, like it'll be interesting to see, to say the least. Like at this point in time, we can only speculate, but because he's also going to be a part of it, he might probably sort of be more comfortable with having two dependable batters at the top and then take it forward from there. Is that the right way of going about it? Personally, I don't think so. But yeah, the options they have are also fairly limited. So yeah.
Okay, lots of comments coming through, and we really appreciate that given the fact that India are currently playing against Bangladesh as we're doing this preview live. If you guys are watching it tomorrow or day after or after the World Cup is truly well begun with the USA Canada fixture really quickly upon us, give this video a like and tell people about it, because we are going to be doing a review show every day for the group stage. That's a reminder as well. Something that cricket.com hasn't done before. It's going to be an experiment with probably a lot more success than it probably should go down to 12 p.m. every particular group stage day. Let me just get that clear for all you lovers of cricket.com. Right, Pakistan nearly done and dusted, but the all-important question, MVPs for Pakistan, is it the typical Babar Azam or the Shaheen Shah Afridi or someone else? Who is it going to be? Let me start with Jeet here.
Number one choice has to be Shaheen Shah Afridi. But I think that guy will be he'll be the MVP of most of the people. So I'll rather go to someone like Sam Ayub, outstanding left-handed batter and finally an aggressive option in the top order for Pakistan, something that they have lacked for a long time. Additionally, he can also bowl in the power play. So that's a new thing that he has added. And he was utilized in the PSL as well. And he did a pretty good job. So I feel this guy's got a lot more value. And he's going to be the X factor for Pakistan to win games and have actually those aggressive starts with the bat in the power play.
Yeah, I hope he's just not a story like a Mohammad Harris, who, of course, got the world by attention with regards to what he did against South Africa in that Sydney game, that T20 World Cup last time around. But good shot, Sam Ayub. I kind of resonate that secretly, Jeet. So let's see what Somesh and Akshay have. Som, are you going bowler or batter for an MVP for Pakistan?
I mean, actually, it's very tough to pick because if I have to actually think out loud, Shadab comes to my mind, but then I can see them even not playing Shadab if he's not in form and still getting away with it, because they have Imad Wasim, who is that matchup spinner that they can use, and they can always go back to and add an extra pacer who that would turn out to be their premium match winner. So a lot of names there, but yeah, I think. I don't know. I'm just inclined to stick to Babar Azam for some reason, because, again, whatever the saga that has happened around him since the last 50-over World Cup, at this point of time, for the morale of the team, he needs to have a good World Cup, right? Because I've been approaching this MVP question from a point of view of which player they cannot afford to fail, rather than who's going to be their most valuable player. So I'm not saying Babar Azam will be their most valuable player, but he needs to have a good tournament for them to have a very united dressing room.
I'm really shocked with that MVP choice of yours, because I know that you're not one of those guys to just pick the main kings. Bobsy King is why I say that. But really, Babar, okay, fine. Just tell me in terms of Babar's ceiling in T20s. I know he's, of course, a run accumulator and he's great at doing that. And he's matching, say, Virat Kohli stat for stat. But what can he really do? I know if he just accumulates runs, Pakistan will probably have a good tournament. But do you see him as a game changer? Can he actually really stand up in those clutch moments?
See, actually, ideally, from a Pakistan standpoint, what if they always wanted is for Babar Azam to just replicate what Kohli does, right? Be there at one end, and others can just play around him and be more aggressive. But what has happened is, come the big game, Babar is not fired. So that is the question mark here. So if he can nail his role to perfection, because he's there, he has to play. There is no other option, whatever his ceiling might be. But if he gives like a 40 ball 16 every game, which is again asking a lot from Babar. So this is what they would be expecting. The others can then score 150 of the rest 80.
Okay, interesting. Remember, at the end of the show, we'll get the predictions out of all of us for Group A and a bonus 3-minute preview of the India-Pakistan game at New York, because we're feeling just generous today. Akshay, MVP of Pakistan. And quickly, please, because there's still 4 more teams to go. Who are you choosing, sir?
There are too many names, because Pakistan usually have been one of those teams ki koi bhi ho sakta hai. Shadab Khan would have been my most likely pick, but his recent form does not sort of does not do him any favors there. I'm going to Fakhar Zaman. मिडिल ऑर्डर उनका काफी लाइक वी स्पोक अर्लियर काफी सारे टॉप ऑर्डर ऑप्शंस है वहां पे बट फखर जमान इज वन गाय who can individually sort of take the game away from you and also another reason why I think he will be important is because Azam Khan वहां पे Azam Khan not historically but has sort of tended to struggle against spin. He's a lot more at ease while facing pace, at least numbers do suggest that, and we've also seen PSL mein and CPL mein him being targeted by spin in the middle overs. That's why Fakhar Zaman being paired with him becomes that much more crucial. And also USA mein, I mean West Indies USA mein conditions kaise honge in case the dimensions of the ground also come to their favor. That's where I expect Fakhar Zaman to have a much bigger say. And he's always been one of those batters, something that I and producer Sabir was also discussing about yesterday or the day before. He is the guy we wouldn't mind watching in the Pakistani setup, and let's hope that he turns out to be one of their MVPs this season.
He's one of those guys, honestly, with the bat in hand, who can well and truly be the game changer. I remember that game against New Zealand in Bangalore in the ODI World Cup. Man, that was unbelievable. Dare I say, a reincarnation of Chris Gale. And Akshay, Sachin's correcting you, saying it's fucker, not fucker, bro. You keep saying
I said
fucker.
only, bhai.
You kept saying fucker. The first time you did the ice nigger.
Fakhar hai na?
Fakhar Zaman, हाँ.
Fucker. And you kept saying fucker. Like, I was just like, come on.
छोड़ो
Exactly.
नुक्ता है
Anyway.
Aussie
Let's
mentality.
not channelize our inner Mark was. If you've seen that clip, you'd know. But MEP chat, much appreciated, lads, of course. More people in the chat having their say. Imad Wasim, wild shot. The cigarette smoking with Imad Wasim. If you guys know that video, you would know. And cool, cheeky Vikas saying MVP for Pakistan is Babar when it comes to India. Chalo koi nahi. On that note, read an article on Kohli with Somesh. I mean, just tongue in cheek. Games indeed. And no fun in games and no fan cams, Ajay. And it's up niche, first of all. And I'm not going to the Americas. So we're going to be bringing you some rocking content. Don't worry about anything. I mean, check out the meme preview because I know the meme always tickle you guys in every way. Check that out. It's dropped out. It's available on the YouTube Shorts section. Right, still 4 more teams to go in this mega preview. Part 4 out of 4, Group A. We're done with Pakistan and we're not going to go to India yet. I'm saving him for the last because they're also 59 for 2 as we speak. 6.4 was gone and it's unraveling. And Rohit's gone. Oh my God. Mehmudullah has got Rohit out.
23 from 19.
Unbelievable. If this happened to Kohli, like people would just like go mad.
Okay, भाई ये रोहित कोहली को
अरे यार एक तो ये
हर आर्गुमेंट में रोहित कोहली को घुसाना
सच में यार मतलब
जरूरी
ये डिस्कोर्स के कारण ही तो एकदम अंदर से भी खत्म हो गया पूरा जज्बात कि अब ठीक है यार जो होना है होने दो doesn't matter.
Okay, guys, let's not distract ourselves because Rohit and Kohli will come up against a team before Pakistan, and that's Ireland. Let's go to Ireland next and preview them. And I'll start with Jeet here with regards to just getting a first thought on the Irish. I know they played a tri-series recently. What was it? Netherlands, Scotland, Ireland, and they clinched a thrilling result. And the Irish always have it in them. They have some banging T20 cricketers by all senses. T20 pros in Paul Sterling, for example, will set this tournament alight, is my opinion. Factfile check quickly before we move on to Jeet's thoughts. They have had not a rich history, but a good history of 25 games in the T20 World Cup, the Irish. 2009, they all remember that well because it was held in England and they got some good results to go their way. But just the 7 wins out of those 25. So there's still a lot of history to put on their Hall of Fame in this World Cup. And Paul Sterling, a man that I mentioned, has already accumulated the most runs for them in this competition. And not to forget the Gujarat Titan, or the former Gujarat Titan, Josh Little, 16 wickets in this comp. Jeet, where are we with the Irish? I know I forgot their name in the introduction of this show, but surely they can't be that bad. And can they topple the Pakistanis and have a crack in the Super 8s? Because the final game is Pakistan, Ireland, and Florida, as Sven the Chahal would say it.
Well, they have a habit of getting the big fish, and more often than not, that big fish is Pakistan. But yeah, again, it's a last clash. But anyway, coming to Ireland and how strong they are, I believe they have got a very, very good blend of experience and youth. Paul Sterling, of course, being the key batter on the side because of the amount of T20 leagues that he plays around the world. He's probably, He's played the most T20 leagues amongst all the Irish players. So this guy's got a lot of experience and has the knack of playing those big knocks, and those big knocks often turn out to be match-winning knocks for them. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Their pace attack also is very well rounded. They have Josh Little, they have got Mark Adair, and they have got capable support of Craig Young, Barry McCarthy. But again, I mean, there are a few players who have played CPL over here. They didn't have a good run, someone like Harry Tector. But at the end of the day, that experience in these conditions also matter. So yeah, there are a few names that appear this time around, with some of them having gone out, like Kevin O'Brien from last time around. But more or less, it's a pretty good side. The good thing for them against Pakistan is that it's not happening in the Caribbean. It's happening at Lauderhill, Florida, which is generally a flat track, and the dimensions also favor the batters. So very recently, they had a bilateral series against Pakistan back home, and they defeated Pakistan in the first game, where it was a very similar track, a flat track, small dimensions, something very similar that they're going to get at Lauderhill. So it's a clash that I'm looking forward to. Sadly, it's the last clash of the group, but you never know. I'll still wait for that. It's going to be quite
It's
exciting.
actually not that sad, Jeet, if you think about it. That's a very tasty scenario, to imagine. What if they both enter that game at a very similar juncture, having beaten the US and Canada and lost to India? The winner of that game will potentially qualify. So I mean, that would be absolute cinema.
No, indeed. And
Yeah, let's hope
you
we'll
talk
have
about
a few.
yeah,
We'll
go
have
on,
few
please.
results going, in our favor. But I do hope that's the situation we end up with going into that particular game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, there can also be a scenario where the both teams enter that game having won all the three games, beaten India as well. So you never know.
You should never count your chickens in the game of cricket before they hatch. Right. Ireland, India, the first game for India. So, should India and their fans be worried about what Irish can dish out with these names? I'll showcase it for you and the viewers, of course, again. And who do you like out of all of them?
Yeah, I mean, there are few matchups right up there. Josh Little versus Rohit Sharma. George Dockrell against pretty much all right-handers of the Indian team. So a lot
George,
of
George, George Dockrell against Suryakumar Yadav is going to be an interesting matchup.
all righties. I mean, I think apart from Samson, no other Indian right-hander gives me any sort of confidence when it comes to slow left-arm bowler.
What about a certain Virat?
I mean, ठीक है भाई अब
He's got the slog sweep out now, so come on.
हाँ ठीक है ना. I mean, as long as he doesn't get out, because he can then compensate for it with other bowlers.
Okay, but batting wise, does Harry Tector give you confidence? Does Paul Sterling give you confidence?
See, again, Paul Sterling is there, and we're looking at some scenarios. He's the only Irish player, and he's among the very few players who was around the last time the World Cup was played in the Caribbean. So maybe he can just end on a high. He has that potential. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was during COVID when he played a blinder against England. I still recall that game. So maybe something similar against maybe India and Pakistan, and if they can get to a part score, maybe I think they have the bowling attack to shine on the day and create some pressure.
Fair enough. Akshay, tell me something about Ireland that none of us know, and the viewers indeed. Do you have any interesting stat about the Irish, or any observation about any player you think gives you a little gut feel this World Cup and be like, you should watch out for him?
Personally, there are a couple of names I'm looking forward to. Tucker's one of them. Really like what I've seen of him. Harry Tector has been around. Matlab, he's sort of been. Okay, I don't want to make any jokes, any political jokes right now, but he's been in the reckoning. He's the name that people have always spoken about when they talk about, this new Irish era. Kaun hoga, who's going to be the next sort of, next big thing from Ireland and all of that. He's definitely there. Harry Tector is always a part of those conversations. But Lachlan Tucker, I've enjoyed watching him, so I'm really looking forward to him. And with the ball, nice. Right on cue with the ball. Garrett Delaney, he's going to play a role. According to me, George Dockrell, He's no more the slow left armer that we know now. He's sort of, switched and he's now become a proper finisher for them. So I don't know how much of value is he going to add with the ball. Garrett Delaney is going to be key for them because the only other wrist spinner they have, I don't think Ben White is going to get a game anytime soon. So Garrett Delaney is starting for them. So these are the two names. Garrett Delaney, of course, he's an all-rounder. He's also going to be batting for them in the middle order. He's going to sort of play a crucial role for them both with the bat and the ball. But if I have to pick two names, it's going to be Lachlan Tucker with the bat and Garrett Delaney with the ball. That's how I'm looking at this. I know Delaney himself is not like a bowler, but a wrist spinner always, he is always a wicket-taking option. So that way, that's the reason I'm interested in how Ireland use him this time around.
Okay, lots of comments coming through, by the way. Keep them through, and it's a good sign on a Saturday night with India playing as well. Fantastic to get your attention right now. Jeet, Ireland and their best 11. I want your thoughts on that, because for me, I'm thinking about how Ireland can possibly sneak into the Super 8s, right? I know they play India first and Pakistan last. The best case scenario for them is obviously to get the cat skinned against your Canada and the US, get those 4 points in the bag, and then possibly upsetting the apple cart by beating either India or Pakistan. Who is your 11 for them to get that job done?
So my 11 would have Andrew Balboni and Paul Sterling opening. We'll have Lorcan Tucker, the wicketkeeper, walking in number 3. Harry Tector walking in number 4. There'll be Curtis Camford number 5. George Dockrell at number 6. Garrett Delaney at number 7. And then the pace attack of Mark Adair, Barry McCarthy, Craig Young, and Josh Little. So the only question would be, if they want to play the additional spin option of Ben White, then maybe one of Craig Young or Barry McCarthy could sit out. But other than that, I do believe all these pacers in Adair, McCarthy, Young, and Josh Little are going to start. But having said that, I also believe that this is a tournament where we will see George Dockrell also rolling his arm over. Because not to forget that this time they don't have Andy McBride, who used to be an off-spin option, or Simi Singh, who was an off-spin option. They've only got Garrett Delaney, who's a part-time wrist spinner. They have got Harry Tector, who's a part-time off-spinner. So George Dockrell has to roll his arm over, is what I believe, as an additional spin option, potentially against India.
Yeah, I mean, that pace quartet is promising, and let's see, because they are full of tricks, those pacers. It's not just bowling fast, but those cutters and those back of the hand ones, they have it in their locker. I'm not taking it for granted that Som agrees with Jeet's 11, but I'm guessing he does. But Som, I want to ask you your MVP for Ireland this tournament. Who is that man who can captivate the world's imagination, just like how they had Kevin O'Brien and Mooney and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, so again, one player that they would want to keep up with what he has been doing lately, and that one player is Josh Little. If he can keep getting wickets at crucial junctures and getting the big names out, it will put them in a good position to sort of contain big teams, and they would want to beat at least one of the two big teams, because I mean it's pretty much these are squad of players we have been seeing for a while. These are not a new kid on the block, so they would want some games, some big upsets in their favor to again make a case for a bigger participation in all ICC events.
Interesting shout that, and many comments, random ones coming about Ireland, which is good to see. Prayash is still in the chat saying Ben White has been a key player for them. His leg spin will come in handy indeed. Ben White might be one of those rare individuals in the world of sport who actually has his name as a footballer and as a cricketer. If you guys can name more in the chat, I would want to know. And Nikhil Baiju, I agree with you. I feel here's my MVP, the captain himself, Paul Sterling. I know you can see certain things in that graphic. I won't be cheeky and naughty because I am in Phuket, but Paul Sterling for me is going to light up the world. And Owen Morgan, in that recent Sky Sports podcast, confessed that Paul Sterling, as a tactical leader and the understanding of a game and his cricket smarts, is top-notch. So let's see how he kind of marshals his resources as a captain too. Ireland done and dusted, Pakistan done and dusted. Those are two green teams. The time to pull out the poison for tonight with another green edition. I know Som loves his gin, and I don't know if he has it. Oh, it's 10:30 in the morning. What am I saying? He'll have to wait for 9 hours. But
At
I'm pretty
least at least 2 hours too early for at my age.
Yeah, 9 hours क्यों? That's what I was thinking. Avnish is like, Somesh has to wait for 9 hours. इतना late कब से भाई?
yeah, I
Sometime
kinda
around lunch is okay.
set up. But I was kind of doing multiple things with getting my gin, checking out the India score meanwhile, because I know, again, it has no sort of bearing in this preview, but just if you guys are watching, and of course, not watching that, 89 for 2, 9.3, Rishabh Pant's going absolutely mad. Catch the highlights later, listen to us. Trust me, there's nothing to worry about. The King's not even there yet. Who cares? Anyway,
King is
Greg
there.
saying,
He's not playing today, I guess.
yeah, he's not playing this game as well, man. New York outfield is horrible, saying Greg K, and many people are slandering the pitch. So let's see how that goes through. Let's move on then to the USA, because don't we want them to have a good tournament? The build up to the tournament has been decent. 7 games in, I was just doing my studying, and 4-0 thumping against the Canadians, which ironically is the first game. And then, of course, that shock result, which sent ripples. I wouldn't say literally anything more than ripples through the cricketing world by beating Bangladesh, but they got the job done. And the USA, holy shit, if they come to the party, it'll be insane. So talk to me about the USA, Akshay, and what really kind of catches your eye, even to a fair degree. Is it the players? Is it the venue? Is it the fact that the USA is playing in the World Cup for the first time? Is it culmination of all these fucking things?
It's definitely players, venue and all of that, so couldn't care lesser. And I don't even know how the surface is playing. I'll catch the highlights later. But US is definitely one team I'll be keeping a lot more closer eye on. I did follow the MLC. I genuinely enjoyed watching it last season. And it did seem a lot more better, both in terms of broadcast and in terms of the local player talent pool that they had. Of course, local is being used a lot more loosely here because it's filled with a lot of, Asian expats, a lot of foreign expats, to say the least. Corey Anderson, he's going to be a part of their setup. There are a couple of names that are genuinely very exciting. And I say this with, with very, 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 or rather with a lot of admiration, with a lot of respect. I genuinely think these are names that can potentially light up the tournament. And I don't mean just by playing well against Canada or Ireland. They can actually do well even against the likes of India and Pakistan if a couple of things go well in their favor, that is. So genuinely excited with this US team. And yeah, fingers crossed once again.
Okay, super. Let's get Jeet's thoughts about just a couple of their strengths and weaknesses, not too anything mad. But before that, the fact file, because they do not have any sort of record in the World Cup because they haven't played one. This will be their first ever tournament with the big boys, and what a way to start proceedings against their old foe, Canada. But Stephen Taylor, 742 runs. If you guys must know, he's accumulated the most runs in this format in T20 Internationals. And of course, Netravalkar, 27 wickets, who will be playing an important part for them this time around as well. Corey Anderson did make his T20 international debut for the USA in April. So even though it's just been around the corner, he's had 2 powerful games against Bangladesh. And he's nowhere close to the Corey Anderson that we know once upon a time scored one of the fastest hundreds the game's ever seen. But hopefully he can turn back the clock and the other guys can chip in, which Jeet will tell us more. Strengths and weaknesses, Jeet, of the USA. And more than that, can they actually surprise a few people with the brand of cricket they play? Because I heard even Aaron Jones, one of their finest, has said positive, fearless, and smart cricket. Can we get that?
We can. So one of the strengths, jokingly, is that they've got a lot of expats that have come into the side. So whether it's Corey Anderson, Harmeet Singh, the list just goes on and on. So anyway, at the end of the day, it's a team that's, like the comment says, full of all-rounders. But what really stands out on this particular side is the fact that they've got a really, really good pace attack. That's very, very well led by Saurabh Netravalkar. Then they've got an out-and-out X-factor in Ali Khan. This guy is rapid. He was picked in the CPL as well for the Kolkata Knight Riders and their franchise. And they've got Jesse Singh as well.
Yorker King? Is he the Yorker King? He dubs himself the Yorker King.
He is indeed a Yorker King, and he's very, very skiddy, very, very nippy. Skills are not an issue with Ali Khan. Behavior is, but again, an out-and-out X factor. And besides that, they've got a very good spin attack as well. Like Nostush Kenjige is outstanding. Steven Taylor can chip in. So it's a very, very well rounded. They also got the addition of Nitish Kumar this time around as well. So Nitish used to play for Canada. So he has changed his allegiances and moved to USA as well. So he's also going to be a key figure in this particular side.
One
And of
second.
course, Corey
Sorry,
Anderson is.
Sorry, but I
Yeah.
just have to ask you, out of all these names, because everyone watching this right now must be thinking to themselves, is all the 15 members expats, or surely there's one guy born in the USA?
If you're only talking
That's a
about being
good.
born in the US, there are a couple. In fact, even
Who?
Jasdeep Singh, Jesse Singh is born in the US. Born in,
Yeah.
But
I
who's
mean,
American? There's no American guy there.
No. None. There is
there
none.
isn't.
Really?
There
Not
isn't. Yeah.
one guy is American.
No, there is absolutely none. So we've got even Harmeet Singh and Milind Kumar and all these guys coming from India.
What
They've
about
shifted
Steven
over there.
Taylor, bro? Steven Taylor?
No, I don't
From the
think
West.
Steven Taylor. Yeah, he's from the West Indies.
Matlab, again, they were like they moved to New York early on, so that way technically you can call them locals for what it's worth. But yeah, originated from the Windies. वैसे अगर करना है.
But I get your point, Avnish, what you're trying to say. And I don't see any of those Americans in their 15 either. So recently, if you remember, there was a good start that was floating around when Mustafizur got 6 wickets in that one T20 end. So all 6 of his wickets were from different countries, were born in different countries altogether. So
Shut up.
that very well
Really?
sums up the kind.
That's insane.
That very well sums up the squad they've got.
And just to add to that, in fact, they recently appointed Stuart Laws, recently as in a month and a half ago, as their full-time coach. He was a part of their setup for a while now. He himself confessed about this, and they also understand that this is a problem. And their objective, of course, is in the next 5, 6, 7 years to have a couple of locally local talents, homegrown talents, which is why the minor league cricket, the major league cricket, all of these leagues come into picture. So fingers, again, it's sort of. They're still in a very, very, very nascent stage right now, US cricket that is. So you can understand why it's easier for them to just sort of import a couple of these, talents and make do with them.
Okay, Greg saying, Avnish, bro, Yankees will not get into cricket anytime soon. Thanks for that. And Ral Duke being cheeky, random, not discussing anytime soon, mate. So
IPL में T20 World Cup को discuss कराते थे इधर IPL auction. सही है भाई.
But look, Rahul, appreciate you joining us. Quickly like this video, and all you listeners of the cricket.com platform do so as well. Before we move on to some of the players to really look at in the US, because I know you've given me a ton of names and we just saw 15 over there, I'm thinking to myself, what is the one thing which is a certain positive for them and a certain thing that they'll be found wanting? I know we'll speak about Canada in a bit, Jeet, and they give you an impression that they're more bowling heavy side than their batters coming to the fore. But I'll put Akshay on the spot here with US. One massive advantage for them, apart from them being hosts and all of that, and one massive disadvantage from a cricketing standpoint. How do you look at it?
Massive advantage. I mean, I'll sort of look at it as strengths and weaknesses. They're two sort of, too young side to have advantages and disadvantages. Strengths definitely going to be their bowling. They have a very well-rounded bowling attack. Something we've also spoken about before. It's easier for bowlers to make the jump to a higher level than batters, which is why it's going to be interesting how their batters match up. Munang Patel, Shan Jahangir, they've all been a part of the MLC, so they have some sort of an understanding of how these leagues work. But the name I'm personally looking forward to is Andries Gauss. Again, I saw him for the first time in the ILT.
Why are you smiling when you say that?
Because I saw him again, a name that not a lot of you would have heard, of course. Born and brought up in South Africa, moved to the US. In fact, made his debut just a couple of months ago. Those who saw the ILT20 this time around, the guy took on Hasranga with great ease. The guy took on Kautil with great ease. Was very comfortable against the shorter ones. Looked at ease, surprisingly at ease against spin as well. I personally think he'll be the key batter for them, and not their captain Munang Patel or their vice captain Aaron Jones, their Steven Taylor. These are all the names you will time in again here, because they are the ones who've been playing for the US, in the last 3-4 years, which is why you'll hear these names a lot more and not Gauss, for example. And I also smiled because of the I don't know if I'm getting the pronunciation right, but the guy is genuinely one to look out for. And fingers crossed, he has a good tournament. I'm genuinely expecting good things for him.
Okay, I love that. Out of the box, indeed, and not the regular names. What is their playing 11, Jeet? Because just for the uninitiated about USA cricket, all those names there, what is the jigsaw for them this World Cup?
So I think more or less it's going to remain similar to what they had against Bangladesh as well, barring the addition of Andries Gauss. So Gauss did recently make his debut and then he was injured. So
Yeah.
more or less it's going to remain the same with Aaron Johnson, Stephen Taylor being at the top of the order, Monang Patel being in the top order, and the middle order
Yeah.
being taken care by Andries Gauss, Corey Anderson, Harmeet Singh,
Kumar, Corey
and
Anderson. Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
So just to
I
be
mean,
clear, 11 में अगर बताना है, like I actually did make that 11. I was just trying to think who would they go for. Stephen Taylor, Monang Patel, in all likelihood will open. I have Andries Gauss at number 3. That's where he's batted. Of course, like Jeet mentioned, he was injured for the
Aaron Jones, what
Bangladesh
about
series. Sorry, Aaron Jones at 4, Nitish Kumar at 5, or Corey Anderson at 5, Nitish Kumar at 6, which is again going to be interesting because Nitish Kumar was an opener for Canada. He sort of made the switch here. He's also improved his intent, so to say. And it'll be interesting to see how he fares in the middle order. Then Harmeet Singh at number 7. Again, Harmeet Singh, all of us remember him for this bowling exploits. He was touted to be the next Bishan Singh Bedi. He was one of those conventional, loopy, slow left-armers. He's now somehow managed to transform himself into an aggressive batter as well, something that took me by surprise. Then, of course, to round it off will be Ali Khan, Jasdeep Singh, Saurabh Netravalkar, and I've gone for Nostush Kenjige. Might be a bit of bias from my side. Yes.
okay?
But I think Shadley when Sholvik should be a certain
Yeah.
starter, right?
Instead of Kenjige, that's where I was coming at. Kenjige most
Yeah.
likely नहीं खेलेगा, but मेरा bias है, I genuinely like
Because-
Kenjige. It'll most likely Shadley.
No, so do I. But this guy was the player of the match recently in plenty of games,
Yeah.
and he was the key performer for a regular time. I know Avnish is laughing at all these names.
I
and
know,
he
I was laughing
very-
because you pointed out that change and you said, yeah, that lad needs to go in. And then Somesh is just like, yeah, 100%, bro. He needs to go in.
So, but to be
No, I'll come to that. There is a reason for it.
But to be
okay,
clear,
go on.
Shadley will most likely start also because in the 2 games that the two played in the Bangladesh series, Nostush Kenjige bowled only 1 over across 2 games, and Shadley was given the ball ahead of him in both the games. In fact, Nostush bowled that 1 over when 13 was required of 11 overs. So, matlab, they clearly weren't looking at him as a potential World Cup starter. It's going to be Shadley. Bias or thoda, I also felt it would round their attack a lot more if they had an additional spinner because they have enough pace options, but it'll be Shadley for sure.
Okay, before we get Somesh's thoughts on US and then wrap up and, of course, talk about Canada and India in this preview, quick look at the fixtures of this group. USA, Canada, like we said, and, of course, everyone eyeing India, Pakistan, obviously, but we put it up right here, right now, again, for the US games. Canada to start, and then Pakistan 5 days later in Dallas. So they stay there. They don't have to travel. And then they go to New York and Florida, back-to-back games, quick games against India first and then Ireland. Let's see where they are on the 14th of June if they still have something to play for to go into the Super 8. So the USA, I know you know more politics of the US more than cricket, but again, you've done your studying.
Yeah, I mean, see, whatever I know of these smaller nations comes from our man Friday Pramod Anand. So he's been putting up a lot of good copies. One of them, he mentioned a few players who could spring in a surprise, and he did mention about Shadley Venchwalki, if I'm pronouncing the name right. He's played over 100 T20s, so that itself is gives him a lot of experience. He did well against Bangladesh as well, so that's one. He's also done this ratings of all the associate nations, and he's put USA above Canada there, and even above Uganda and all. So he has high expectations, and I trust his judgment. So as long as USA are not using Corey Anderson as a death bowler, I think they should be fine.
When you say that, man, it gives me bad memories. But Prayash, meanwhile, saying, I put my money in the USA beating Ireland. USA's 3 left-arm off spinners will cause great trouble for Ireland with only right-handed batters. I don't know if that is a slight dig on India's top 6, which comprises of a lot. But speaking of which, Shivam Dubey has walked out a bat. in that warm-up against Bangladesh. You guys can catch that wherever, but the coverage on cricket.com for everything this World Cup is amazing on our app and our refurbished website. Go check it out. What are you waiting for? Jeet bro, kya India jeetega? We will come to that in about 5 minutes 44 seconds, my producer tells me, because we have Canada to go to next, and we're not going to keep it short just because they're just making up the numbers in this competition. But let's face it, the team we just reviewed rather in many senses was the USA, and the USA gave Canada an absolute spanking, Jeet, recently 4-0. And even though Canada won that first ever game in 1844 against the USA by 23 runs, by the way, I've done my math and checked my history out. Can Canada do something ridiculous and win the first game of the World Cup?
Against USA, I don't see such a high chance. I know it might sound funny, but they actually have a chance against Ireland because of the kind of X factors Canada has got. I know it's very funny, but they actually have an outside chance of defeating Ireland on the given day.
But
So
to be fair, Canada did play Nepal in that warm up, and they got 183 for 7. And I know it's Nepal and apples and oranges and all of that, but again, we can see unexpected things, even though they got a smashing from the USA, like I said.
yeah, that's true. But again, warm-ups are something that I don't look into so much because there are funny things going on, like even Netherlands bowling Maxwell out suddenly and all that kind of random stuff we keep seeing in the warm-up. So it's not something that I would use to gauge what kind of performance these teams are going to put in the main event altogether. So Canada, of course, I would say on paper are the weakest side in this particular group, but on the given day, you never know. Against USA, I don't see such a high chance, but against Ireland, there is a slight chance of them actually, getting the job done. So when it comes to all these associate nations, you often talk about these players not having the experience of rubbing shoulders with the big names. But when it comes to Canada, courtesy of the G20 Canada League, most of these players have had that opportunity of rubbing shoulders with the big names of Chris Gale, and so many of these names have been involved in that global T20 league that used to happen quite consistently. So most of these players are in this particular squad for the World Cup. So I won't be surprised if they up their game and actually put in a very, very good performance against some of these lower ranked, and USA in particular, maybe in Ireland to an extent as well. I won't be surprised if they do, spring a surprise altogether.
I hope that's true, man. The fact that we all here, cricket romantics, sitting in our couches and hoping for something to really erupt this World Cup, Canada beating USA, in what seemingly is going to be a rain affected game, 40% chances. The weather isn't looking bright in Dallas as we speak, heading into that first ball of the T20 World Cup. When I think about Canada, Som, I think about maple syrup. I think about cold weather. I don't think about that cricket team. And even if I do think about that cricket team, I think about John Davison in the 2003 World Cup,
Actually,
man.
yeah.
Right?
I mean,
So where are you with
that's
him?
two of us. I'm just hoping that they unearth a John Davison in this World Cup as well. Uh, let's see. I'm obviously as far. I mean, Canada का तो politics भी नहीं पता मेरे को. So I mean that that actually tells us where I am. Again, I just read a very good interview that Pramod did on Aaron Johnson, who has West Indian roots and who actually spoke about how the T20 tournament helped them rub shoulders with modern day greats. There he spent a lot of time with Tim Southee, and he talks about that experience and how that helped him. So again, I mean, it's just a very good opportunity for all these countries to sort of start being in a scheme of things. And a good thing about the T20 World Cup is that it's once every 2 years now. So I mean, once I'm hoping if the people in the country start seeing their men representing the country, and that can flourish into more players wanting to come to the system, and eventually we will see these a certain sort of rivalry building. US and Canada is, I mean, it will be, there will be bragging rights. Yeah, whenever you're playing your neighbor, there is bragging rights up for grabs, and all these mini rivalries also makes cricket very interesting. I mean, all of us like watching when Bangladesh take on Sri Lanka. It's a very nice aspect of our sport. So I'm just hoping that these side of mini rivalries develop in due course, because that is what the game can bring to the table as well, and not just the big trophies and the semi-final spots and your WTCs.
Yeah, and that's why we love sport. And I hope that Canada really gets a cult hero this World Cup, which can probably propel the next generation. I know they're big on their ice hockey and they're big on other sports in that part of the world, but cricket can be a real, I don't know, just a breath of fresh air, I'm guessing, from a sporting sense. Akshay, before I get the fact file up and, of course, the squad of players that Canada have, when you look at Canada, yes, okay, they got beaten. Yes, they're probably not going to finish anywhere apart from bottom. But if I just tell you, Canada, Nepal, Oman, Namibia, they're playing a quadrangular randomly somewhere. Does Canada not even make the final in that quadrangular?
Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. To sort of put things in perspective, the only reason Canada is playing this World Cup is because US qualified directly as hosts. Had US been a part of the Americas qualifiers, there's no way on earth Canada would have made it. In fact, if you go and have a look at the Americas qualifiers, Panama, there's Bahamas, teams that, of course, aren't the greatest, to sort of put it politely. So you've got to understand, and sure, of course, for like they have been lucky that they've made it to the World Cup, but yeah, they're still not there yet. They've got a couple of names thanks to GT20, like Jeet and Somesh also mentioned, and like Aaron Johnson rather also mentioned in the interview with Pramod. It helps that they've rubbed shoulders with these legends of the game before, but it's going to be very difficult. Like that quadrangular, the hypothetical quadrangular you mentioned, they would most likely finish last even there.
Okay, I asked you that question only because to give some context to not just me, but the viewers listening to this mega preview in terms of where this Canada stand as a team in terms of the 20 teams that they were going to witness in the next 1 month or so. A quick fact file then on point with Canada, because it says none over there, because like the USA, they are playing the T20 World Cup for the first time. They have played the ODI World Cup 2003, like I said, comes to mind, but some of their names, Saad bin Zafar is their captain. We'll get to their individuals, we'll get to their names, and we'll tell you some startling facts which will blow your mind about this Canada team, and that is courtesy Jeet. Jeet, talk to me about their strengths and weaknesses with the benefit of this graphic, and tell me who are their ones to watch.
So one of the key strengths again is the pace attack. Most of the teams have a left arm pacer in their squad. Similarly, Canada have got Kaleem Sanda on their side, who has a very, very high potential and again has an eye for picking wickets in the power play and at the death as well. They've got a few mystery spinners as well, which is what stands out in this particular squad for me. Someone like Nikhil Datta, he has the CPL experience as well. He's played there before, and he is that mystery spinner, somewhat like Sunil Narayan. So he's going to keep the batters on toes and keep them guessing. It's just going to be really exciting. Someone like Junaid Siddiqui is a wrist spinner, and he's also considered to be a bit of a mystery spinner as well. So the spin attack is pretty much full of those mystery spinners and Junaid or Nikhil Datta, and they've got the experienced left arm spinner Saad bin Zafar who will be leading the side. So that spin attack is really, really good to complement the pace attack. Where they might face a bit of an issue is going to be with their batting. The batting is not an outstanding batting unit. They've got a few exceptions in, say, Nicholas Curtin, who has again played, who represented the West Indies under 19s back in the day. So he's played there a lot. Now he comes to Canada and he's going to be a key figure in this particular lineup. Down the order, they're going to have Ravinder Pal Singh, who's going to come at probably like 6 or 7. Now, this guy is an out-and-out 6 hitter. He was a star in the G20 as well. And in the warm-up game as well, this guy absolutely blasted the team. So he's going to be one of the players to watch out for as well down the order. The pace attack, barring Kaleem Sanda, they've got Dylan Henniger, who is again an X-factor with the pace. There is the experience of Jeremy Gordon as a right-arm pacer as well to keep an eye on. So they've got individuals who can create a big impact. As a team, how they perform is going to be a bit of a challenge because they've lost the key figure at the end of the day in Nitish Kumar, who is the fulcrum of this particular side. So that's going to be one figure that will be dearly missed by this particular side. So it is going to be up to the individuals to put their hand up on a given day and put in those match-winning performances at the end of the day. So let's see how it goes. But the spin attack is something I'll say is the one to watch out for in Nikhil Datta and Junaid Siddiqui and Saad bin Zafar as well.
It's one of those rare scenarios when Nitish Kumar will be missed by someone.
Oh, man. I was actually going for a Bollywood joke. For those who know their Bollywood, there's also a certain Pargat Singh in the squad. So let's hope this guy is also able to emulate the performances of that Pargat Singh from, I don't know, 13 years ago, if I'm not wrong. But
Yes,
yeah, all in all,
he's got
yeah.
Pargat Singh has got cover drives like Virat Kohli. Just an info.
Yeah. That's the
Wow.
difference. That's it. वो bowler था
Because
ही batter है.
you go back to this graphic and you look at some of those names, and yeah, you can make the cricketing references of the old. There is a Pathan, there is a Joshi, there is a Siddiqui, and all of that. But the two names that catch my eye here and the research that I came across is that Jeremy Gordon, the man that you mentioned, Jeet, the pace bowler that he is the fastest apparently in the Associate Nations. So that's something that I definitely want to see. So Jeremy Gordon apparently is one of the fastest bowlers that the Associate Nations have going around. And that Kaleem Sana guy, apparently he's from Pakistan. He's got Babar Azam out. Is that true?
Not surprised.
He has, yeah. He has,
Not
yeah.
surprised because everyone can get King Bobsy or King Bobsy kaun hai?
Nee, but he's definitely good, and he's also been the lead pacer. Was also player of the match in the qualifier finals that helped them make it through to the World Cup. But the names that Jeet mentioned, one name that I'm really looking forward to is Ravinder Pal Singh. Those who follow the G20 will remember the six hitting abilities of this guy, and I was genuinely impressed in a league that had Chris Gale, Brendan McCullum, Guptill. There was also Yuvraj Singh and all of them. I used to watch. It was Toronto, if I'm not wrong, Toronto Nationals. I used to watch their games only for this guy. He reminds me of Manpreet Goni, if you guys remember. Bas lappe baz ekdam. He just swings. He swings hard, but he more often than not connects it. And when he connects, the ball stays it. So fingers crossed that guy also can do well for them. And yeah, Nikhil Datta, another name we would have seen. He played in the CPL like 10 years ago, about 2015-16. Not played since then, but he's got the googly, he's got the Dusra, and he's got the off spinner, he's got the googly, he's got the carom ball as well. He uses his fingers a lot more, almost like Mujib Rahman, the variations that he uses. So it'll be interesting. Abhi, matlab, haven't seen a lot of them in recent past against top tier cricketers, which is why it's going to be tricky for them. But yeah, a couple of names for sure.
Okay, indeed. More comments coming through as we're previewing all these teams. We've done with 19, and we are, of course, moving on to the 20th. Last but certainly not least, being India. And get your chats and comments ready, guys, because we're going to take them all. Just to finish up in Canada, really quickly, Nikhil Jabaju going on to say they need to import more Aussies if they want another Davison. No. Yeah, being cheeky
You can
indeed.
take Prayash's comment below that. Already egg on my face. So there's.
I was going to ignore that because Prayash
Nah,
said
nah.
something else, saying Canada is a 140 team at most. Don't get fooled because they beat Nepal convincingly. It was just a hiccup for us. Cardiac kids for a reason. And Chachant, if you're worried about that, I think Hotstar is your destination for that regard. And Greg also going on to say, oh my God, this pitch is horrible. 134 apparently, 15 overs gone. So do, of course, go check that out. He uses his fingers a lot. That's just a random comment from Vikas.
It's not random. That's what Akshay said.
No, I said Nikhil Datta, he uses his fingers a lot for his variations. So, because
Sometimes,
why?
I mean, I sent you guys that meme, I think, or was it just a chat I was opening up of things that you can say during and cricket, and that's something. that you could
During
use.
5-second pause in cricket, wow, Nish never pegged
He
you.
uses his fingers a lot and he exploits the rough. Imagine that.
आगे बढ़ भाई तो आगे बढ़.
Right, wrap up time of Canada then before we move on to the men in blue and the winners of the 2024 T20 World Cup, in my opinion, India. MVP for Canada, one word. I'm not even taking sentences. Just one word for Canada and their players. Who's your MVP?
Who's starting? Sorry.
That's already a sentence. Akshay has lost his turn, so it's just Jeet and Somesh for this MVPs.
I'll say Saad bin Zafar, the skipper. He's going to be the X factor and the MVP for the side.
Again, a sentence. I don't know why you guys can't follow rules. That's joking, Jeet. So you.
I'll pick Pargat Singh just because he has a Virat Kohli like cover drive.
Okay, Pargat Singh, the captain for Jeet, and Akshay, of course.
Kaleem Sana, just sticking to basics, left arm pacer, yeah.
You'll still give me one despite breaking the rules. That's what we love on cricket.com live. Right, time to motor on to India. And let's keep it again, like just 2 minutes or less, because what's the point? Jay
Yeah,
Shah's already got.
अरे खत्म कर दो ना. We've discussed
So
enough
he's
of the
got-
Indian cricket team during the
You're,
World
you're telling me right now that Jay Shah hasn't got the script here. Imagine, bro, imagine winning in the USA. We're already imports and exports and trades and all of that. Jay Shah's part of a bigger plan. So come on, yaar.
There
I
are
wanna
days
talk-
when I believe Avnish truly thinks that Jesha's hired a team of
I
script
mean,
writers.
I
to
just
working
don't get it. मतलब
I know.
तू ये जानबूझ के करता है या I mean what is this? I mean see, I just feel that for the India team it's a lose-lose scenario. If you're doing well, it's a script, and if you fail, script थी सब कुछ था तो भी नहीं जीते. तो क्या करे भाई ये लोग?
No, one
What
second.
for them to do?
2022 World Cup, we were all doing the watch along. I remember that dark day in the cricket.com studio, India, England, we got thumped, and we all said, time for these guys to go. But it's pretty much the same squad. And here we are 2 years later, so now, are you feeling confident, or are you saying, fuck it, dude, we're going to
No, I
lose
mean,
again?
see, it is what it is. Just to get a fact out of the way, whenever the World Cup has happened right after the IPL, India's never made it to the semis. The players have turned up either injured or jaded or not high on energy.
Really? One second. Which years are those?
2009, 2010,
9
and
and 10.
2021.
Or
That's a
21
good stat.
technically.
Yeah. So I mean, three is a very good sample size to judge. Uh, Thankfully, a lot of good players were not part of the playoffs, and none of them were part of the finals. So they got some additional days to rest, which is a good thing. The tournament, the schedule is also a little light because apart from the Pakistan game, all the other games are slightly games where India start as heavy favorites, and even the Pakistan game is not a must-win game if India end up winning all the others. So good four warm-up games to get into the groove where some niggles can sort of be worked on and healed. So the schedule works for India, but apart from that, yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of expectations. This is the world one tournament that I'm not entering with a lot of expectations, and hopefully that's a good thing. If my jinxing game is right on point, three things that I am happy about is number one, Virat Kohli's form and his overall, him actually going on and say that he wants to play more shots, and he's sort of fighting that fear of getting out, which is a good thing. Second, Bumrah has been Bumrah. We saw what he did in the IPL, and fit Bumrah is what India did not have in the last World Cup. Third thing is Kuldeep Yadav. I mean, he's bowling like, I mean, he can pick a wicket every ball. So these are the three good points. Something that I'm not very chuffed with are the usual things. Top five being one trick pony. So not a lot of all-round options. And the game against spin of pretty much all the Indian batters, apart from Jaiswal and Samson, who might not even be in the 11.
Okay, we'll elaborate on those strengths and weaknesses with you in just a bit. I'll come back to you with your best 11 as well and your MVP. But Akshay and Jeet, I'll come to you next about the men in blue. And I'll start with Akshay here. For me, going into a Caribbean World Cup as an Indian fan gives me dark memories, be it 2007 and Mushfiqur Rahim fucking hitting the winning runs and eliminating us, Dravid doing that and all of that bullshit. Then, of course, stinker of a tournament in 2010, to be fair. I don't remember anything off it apart from Suresh Raina's fucking 101 in Bosejor. I know that Warner smacked the shit out of my beloved Jaddu that day, but he's going to turn it back this time. Revenge happens in karma. And the only other Indian good memory I've had of watching cricket in the Caribbean is the India under-19 boys winning it a year ago or something like that, right? There's Raj Bava and the lot. Did they
22.
win the
22.
Yeah?
Yeah. In 22.
Correct.
Yes.
So from a World Cup West Indian perspective, it doesn't give me that much thing. But look, those are just memories off the field, on the field, whatever, fan perspectives. But from a squad point of view, and again, we'll break down the strengths and weaknesses. First thoughts, where do you see India in this competition? Fair enough, it could be amazing as a group stage. But then the Super 8s, do you think that there could be a hiccup, let alone the top four?
All right, just in time. I was on mute. See, again, like you mentioned, Super 8s, they are definitely going to be a part of the Super 8s. They don't need to worry about it. And Super 8s, of course, seeding has already been decided. So to be clear, India will be with India will be seeded with Australia, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka. So should India qualify through to the Super 8s, these are the teams I'm most likely going to be facing unless one of them don't qualify. Again, you would want to believe New Zealand, Sri Lanka are two teams. They should be able to come over in the Super 8s as well. That way, the road to the semis is fairly straightforward for them. I'm not going into it. All I'm saying is the road is fairly straightforward.
One second.
Akshay's caught the my disease. I always underestimate New Zealand in World T20 when Mitchell Center happens.
Ideally, according to the script that a certain someone wrote, it'll be India, Australia, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka in the Super 4s, right?
Super 8s.
Super 8s. But you still play 3 games in the Super 8s. You don't play all 7, right? So I think India will play Australia, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka in the Super 8s if everything goes to plan. And do you think that plan will be intact? Surely that can't go out of the plan, because I know England will come strong, Australia will come strong, people are doubling South Africa and the host West Indies themselves. Where the hell do India stand? Do you think India again will ride on the form of, I don't know, a Virat?
You don't know me.
One second. For me and millions of Virat fans out there, he's performed every World Cup. So I don't understand where I
agree. No one's denying it. इसीलिए तो बोला बता दे नाम. It wasn't me being sarcastic. And again, to be clear, top 4 is a sure shot. It's again, yaar, again, it's going to be very cliche, but yaar, उस दिन कौन खेलेगा नहीं पता. Top, semis and finals, it's all about turning up on that day and playing well. And who do they face? You don't know. If they face the likes of England, or if they face the likes of South Africa, you would want to believe it's a lot more easier than facing the likes of England. But you just don't know. Top 4 should be a fairly straightforward expectation, from a fan's perspective at least.
In Guyana, that semi-final could be for India, and if it is England, oh my God, Aldar Rashid with those belting bloody googlies to get all of us out. Jeet, let me just get your thoughts about the mighty Indians, because Factfile first with them. And as you can see, Rohit Sharma and that brand new kit that India will be donning, remember, in this Caribbean. They're already doing so, as a matter of fact, in this warm-up clash against Bangladesh, who apparently Hardik Pandya struck with 3 sixes. Good to see that, because I've been, of course, cribbing about him. Back to the fact file, 2007 champions, and that's about it to show for India. I know 2016 semi-finalists, 2014 semi-finalists, and they did well in the last year competition as well. But again, what counts for a semi-final? And Kohli and Jadeja being the top of the pops there for the records and all of that. Jeet, if India win it, why will they win it? Do you think, again, it'll be individual brilliance? Or do you think, again, we can see India unearth the best that we've seen them unearth in an ICC tournament?
Look, I don't know whether they are going to win it or not, but I have been quite bullish about their chances this time around. I know not many are content with the kind of squad that is picked and the kind of playing 11 that you are going to extract out of it. But at the end of the day, how I see it is at least that this is still a good squad. Ignore what they've done in the IPL. Just ignore the performance, ignore the form factor. Things are going to be a lot different this time around, with games also taking place in the US, where these are drop-in pitches, which means they should be really good for batting as well. There will be a bit of pace, bit of bounce, but the batter should make merry. So I believe, maybe individual brilliances will play a part, because Virat Kohli, bloody every season he performs, every edition he performs. And there is the addition of Surya Kumar Yadav as well in the last few years. So we've got match winners on our side. And I will be surprised if they can't at least go on to make it to the finals. Again, this is being very, very bullish about it. And like I mentioned, I'm not even a supporter of any team here. So I'm having a very, very non-biased view this time around. And I do see how we could actually still have a very, very good chance, whether it's Arshdeep Singh putting in those performances, Jasprit Bumrah having his, again, outstanding T20 World Cup, Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav, the young gun, and someone like Yashasvi Jaiswal. We have got match winners, so I don't see why we would have a lot to worry about this time around either. Again, to make a very, very bold claim, I believe at least heading into the semi-finals, I don't see how India is going to lose more than one game. There is also a chance that we may go unbeaten till the time we reach the semi-finals. So let's see how it pans out. But I have very high hopes from India this time around.
Okay, I'll be interested to see what you guys make of India, not just in the Super 8s, but if they win it, because the predictions, of course, will be tested. Comments to just quickly take before we move on to the best strengths, best 11, strengths, weaknesses, so on and so forth. India have no proper batting all-rounders and no real depth like Oz, West Indies, England, saying Nikhil Baiju. At the end of the day, saying Chachand, it's the MI players who come to the rescue act for the Indian cricket team. Vikas Shukla having a different say. Bumrah is going to have his best World Cup according to him. And he was on an ad, lads, telling you already these guys will have a great World Cup. VK, Hardik Pandya, Bumrah, and Kuldeep. I hope that is true. Priyash, you have a good one, which we'll take at the end of the show, indeed. So we'll tell you what we really like to do while playing cricket, let alone talking about it. So let me start with you with regards to India's strengths and weaknesses. And again, how could we win it? How could we manage to manufacture some history this time around, man?
See, I think as always, we'll come down to the 11s. Lot of options, but the team that nails the 11 is ultimately going to win it. You need a proper balance, and you need to have options on the day. See what I mean. I would love for India to just win the entire thing unbeaten, but I mean, from a historical standpoint, it'll always be good if India sort of falter in a game or two before the knockout, so that they know what sort of problem solving is needed on the day.
Yeah.
When it comes to T20 World Cups, what I've always felt is it's the Indian batters who have sort of failed the team and not the other way around. Because if you look at only the scorecard, you might feel, oh, against Pakistan they lost by 10 wickets. Against England in the semi-finals last time around, they lost by 10 wickets. So that paints bowlers in the negative. But if you look at those games, they were below par in both those games. And once the chasing team enters a below par run chase, they're like, let's kill it in the power play. And once they manage to do it, the shoulders drop off and there is nothing out there to motivate you to come back into the game. So it's the batters who have faltered. What I and again, this is just my assumption. What I've seen with the way Rohit sort of builds the 11, he would want all three pace options there. Siraj, Arshdeep, Bumrah, and Kuldeep would be the obvious spinner, and Jadeja is a lock. Now, that means that when it comes to constructing the 11, they'll have only two headaches. Whether they should open with Rohit and Virat, that means there is no room for Jaiswal, or whether they should play Jaiswal, which means there would be no room for Shivam Dube in the 11. I personally feel that at least in the initial stages where they're going to play those 4 games, they should experiment with an 11 where they are not playing all 3 pacers and instead playing both Jaiswal and Dube in the 11. So if you ask me, I would my 11 would be Jaiswal to open with Rohit, Kohli at 3, Sky at 4, Samson 5, Dube 6, Hardik 7, Jadeja 8, and then Kuldeep, Bumrah, and Arshdeep to as the 3. This means 2 things. Now you have 4 gun bowlers in the 11, which is your Jadeja, Kuldeep, Bumrah, and Arshdeep, whom you can trust to bowl good 16 overs. Now your 5th bowler becomes both Hardik and Shivam Dube. Not ideal, but at least you have 2 options there. And even if you assume that those guys are going to give 50 in their 4 overs every game, that means others can still sort of give 130 in the next in their 16, which is an economy of 8. So it's not like that we are asking too much of the other 4 as well. And if you have a batting where you have Jadeja at 8, that means you should fancy yourself chasing 180, 190 down or scoring 190 while batting first. So I really wish India experiments with this, because this will also mean game time for Shivam Dube. Because historically we've seen that if there is one thing with Hardik Pandya, you can't trust his fitness. You can trust him to come good on big occasions, especially for India, but fitness no one can ascertain. And if Hardik Pandya fails to be bowling fit while the time of the knockout, you would want Shivam Dube to be ready. He did not bowl a single ball in the IPL, so you would want him to bowl in the 4 initial games, which are largely irrelevant in a grander scheme of things. So that is pretty much what I feel they should do with the 11. And if the top order performs well and if the bowlers are doing well, that makes that actually takes the focus away from Hardik Pandya. And at this point of time, Hardik Pandya needs the focus to be away from him so that he can work on his game and prosper.
I agree with that lineup because it just gives you bowling options, gives you batting depth, and I think Nikhil Baiju echoes your thoughts so. And I just want to quickly come back to you on that right now before I get Jeet and Akshay about their playing 11s with India. Now, How confident are you with Shivam Dube? I know you calculated in your math. You told me 4 overs, 50 runs you take out of Dube's quota and Pandya's quota. But what if the opposition susses this and goes after one of the so-called 4 established bowlers in Jadeja, Kuldeep, Arshdeep, and Siraj? I mean, and Bumrah, right? Fine, Bumrah's a cheat code, and touch wood, he does really well. But what if they really smoke the shit out of Jadeja, or they take, or Siraj has, or Arshdeep has a bad day? Then do you expect Shivan Dube and Hardik Pandya to make up that void as a fit
So,
bowling?
I mean, if that happens, that means it's a very good batting wicket. So even the batters should be able to do it. Even if they end up conceding 220, they should be able to chase it down. See, we have seen with Jadeja, right? I mean, if there is one concern about him, the bowler, maybe he's not a good bowler on flat wickets because he bowls with pace. But if there is assistance, he's not going to have bad days. And if Jadeja is having a bad day, that means the wicket is actually very flat. So batters can take a leaf out of it and go for it. At least this will not leave any room for anchoring. Everyone would be like, oh, it's pretty much like having an impact batter where you would know कि अगर हम out भी होगा तो there is an extra batter out there, so let's just go for it.
Yeah, I get that insurance policy. And for me, the cricket that I want to see them play in the Caribbean this time around and the USA is that the fact that just go hard at it and just play risk-free cricket, essentially. I know, essentially, when we talk about India, guys, and Akshay, I'll come to you on this. We spoke about Pakistan not too long ago about their philosophy in T20 cricket and their modus operandi. What is India's with this current 15 that they've dished out? And given the fact that all played the IPL and they had the cushion of the impact player, right now they don't have that. And right now it has to be not even using the handbrake, not even using the brake. It's just full on throttle acceleration time, right? So can these players imbibe that and actually showcase it in the World Cup?
That's exactly going to be the worry, right? Because they've had that cushion of an extra batter in the IPL. It was a lot more easier for them to, take those risks. That's not going to be the case here. So how do they adapt to that? If we are to, again, I also sort of agree with Jeet ki warm-up matches mein dekhna. I mean, there's no point reading too much into warm-up matches because teams themselves aren't, like, apart from just trying a few things, the checkboxes they're looking to tick are very different from what we are looking at it. So we just don't know what exactly is the, like, a lot of people have already jumped to conclusions that because Jaiswal is not going to start, Samson has opened, it means someone else is going to open. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they are looking at it even that way. Probably the idea itself was something else. They wanted to see something else altogether. They probably were testing Pant in the middle order and wanted to see if he does well. Kuch bhi ho sakta hai. So I don't know. Like, to sort of put it bluntly, I'm not sure if they will be able to sort of, just put their foot on the throttle and keep going at it, given how their also tail works. Unlike many other teams, India don't have the luxury of batting deep. They have a fairly long tail. You've got someone like Kuldeep coming in at number 8 potentially, and then there's going to be Siraj. I have Siraj, Bumrah, Arshdeep. If they go with 2 paces, then it'll be Kuldeep at 9 and Siraj and Arshdeep. But again, not a lot to sort of come from your number 9, number 10, number 11, which is why the batters. Sorry.
No, I'm just curious because I wanted to know if India are more of a chasing team this time around, like they've always been. Because batting first, I'm thinking if they don't get 210, 220, they're automatically under the pump with the lack of bowling options.
Could be the case because Kohli prefers chasing. We know his numbers there, and then there's also someone like Hardik Pandya down the order. Rishabh Pant also seems to be in good nick of what little we've seen so far in the warm-up game. Probably, yeah, but again, the point is that's not in your hands. Like them being a better chasing team or a better defending team, like toss is not in your hands. You can't sort of bank on the fact that boss, hum log har baar chase kar lenge jo bhi ho. So which is why it is important that they know. Like Rohit Sharma, for example, after that first half of the IPL, he's really tapered down. Like it's sad to see that's happened, especially coming into the World Cup. You would want him to sort of replicate what he did in the ODI World Cup, ensuring that Team India get quick, brisk starts, irrespective of whether he goes on to make a 50 ball 80 or not. That's not his objective. Jaiswal, again, he himself hasn't been in the greatest of form. So personally, when the squad came out, in my head, it seemed fairly obvious that Rohit and Kohli will open. Then there'll be Sky. Then I also had Samson. And I had Dube, then probably Pant over Dube now, given based on current form. Pandya at 6, Jadeja at 7. I had Jadeja and Akshay playing only for batting depth. Then you also have bowlers coming in the form of Kuldeep, Jasprit Bumrah, and Mohammad Siraj or Arshdeep Singh. I felt they needed at least 8 batters going into the World Cup, like at least in the 11, which is why I thought it was fairly obvious this will happen. But might not be the case if Jaiswal opens and Kohli bats at 3. That means one or Samson or Dubey or someone of them will have to go out, or even Akshar Patel. So again, 7 batters, 4 bowlers, and Hardik Pandya. It's a bit dicey.
Jeet, the only conundrum in my head right now is, should it be Chahal over Siraj?
For me, neither of them is
Why
going to
not?
start.
Because both of them will give you the same thing.
Precisely, I mean, as an obnoxious conundrum is not even a question for, I mean, Jeet and
Right,
myself.
because they have Arshdeep and Siraj, so they have Hardik Pandya as a third
Obvious.
seamer. Yeah, go on, Jeet.
The
Sorry.
conundrum between Chahal and Siraj is about who is going to carry the water bottle. That's it. I don't see
That's what
either
I'm
of them
saying.
is going to.
I know many people will say Siraj should start and stuff like that. But I think Chahal should start all games. I don't know, he's not got that opportunity in a World Cup, but he should.
If
I,
Chahal
I,
starts, you
yeah,
can.
massive disagreement. I feel Chahal is very lucky to be in the squad, to be honest.
But if you're
See,
taking him, why are you taking him? Again, just to give
you
him a
shouldn't.
fucking
That's what I'm saying. He's very lucky to be in the squad.
So do you think
Make it-
Siraj
Look at his
will
performance in the playoffs. I mean, I don't. I mean, personally, I mean, very harsh, but I don't trust him when it comes to the big games.
But in that Super 4
Chahal.
or Super 8,
Yeah.
those 3 games you keep playing, I think Chahal will make a huge difference there. So come on, more than Siraj. Because Siraj is not even that pacer to have
This
those.
is the question that you're asking. I feel neither of them in the. I mean, neither of them are
So
in the.
that's it.
So that's the
So
part.
who do you play then?
Arshdeep hai na?
Arshdeep
so you
Bumrah
think
and
Arshdeep
Kuldeep are my.
Steve Bumrah and Kuldeep.
And then Jadeja and Pandya. And again, between Siraj and Chahal, if I have to pick, again, it's just picking lesser of the two evils. I'll pick Siraj, but
you'll pick
given a
Siraj,
choice, in the 11,
Yeah.
in the 11, even I'd have Arshdeep over Siraj. The angle, and again, make no mistake, we've all fallen prey to perception that Arshdeep has not had a great season. He was the third highest wicket taker. At the end of the day, his job is to take wickets. If he's doing that, karo bhai. तुम अगर 9 पे भी runs, I mean, if you're going at 9 runs per over and taking 2 or 3 wickets on an average every game for me, I don't mind.
I just think, okay, they might go with Siraj, and we know what this Indian team does and how it operates. But I feel come the Super 8, watch out for Yuzvendra Chahal, maybe getting a couple of games to turn the table on its head. Jeet?
Yeah, look, even I don't mind Yuzvendra Chahal in the squad at least. And if he has to start, it will be only over Kuldeep Yadav. There is no other option. There is no other slot that's open. So I'm probably on board with you, Avnish, in terms of Chahal being selected. I know the options were less. Maybe Ravi Krishna was the other choice. But Ravi Krishna also has had a torrid IPL season. So I'm not a huge fan of Ravi Krishna on the current form. Chahal also got blasted at the end of the day, but he also is still a wicket-taking option. The kind of balls that he balls, he's going to go for runs, but he's also going to pick you wickets. So I don't mind Chahal being in the squad, but I don't see how he's going to start in the 11.
I understand where you guys are coming and what your concern is, and I echo those thoughts completely. It's just that I'm factoring in the morning games, I'm factoring in the Super 8s. It's a long tournament. India will probably have to play 8-9 games to make the final anyway. And I think maybe even 2 games if Chahal gets, I'll be happy with that if he gets 336 in that game and helps us with the points to enter the
Fair,
top 4. But
fair, I
that's
agree.
being subjective.
If the conditions demand, sure, of course. But starting with the US, I don't think the conditions will demand having.
I know they'll probably play safe, and they'll start with Siraj against Pakistan because that Eisenhower Stadium, the Nassau County International Stadium or whatever, is relatively small, so they don't want to take the chance against Pakistan, who play spin quite well. But you look at the 15, and you can probably guess the subs and the 11 straight away. I know a lot of you guys are liking Somesh 11. I think we're all on board with that. Just gives us a bowling, of course, options in the batting depth, like you've been harping upon. Before we wrap up, 3 more things to still get out of the way in this mega preview. One is the MVP of India this tournament from all you guys, and 2, your Group A predictions and who will get out of this difficult group, or seemingly difficult, and 3, a little India-Pakistan preview for the 9th of June in New York. Right, time to get the first one ticked, MVP. And I'll start with Som this time around. Som, you have first crack. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, I'll stick with my methodology of selecting the MVP, and from that regard, my MVP would be Rohit. Now, if you look at his numbers in the last two T20 World Cups and his numbers in the IPL, he shouldn't
Cass
be
is getting ready to send a comment.
he shouldn't even be in the squad. So now that he is and he's leading, see, the question that we are asking is who should open with Rohit. So that means Rohit is the one who's going to open. So I mean, India cannot afford to have him have a bad World Cup, right? Because if he's not utilizing the power play, that just ends up having a cascading effect to the entire batting lineup. Then you want others to do more. So in that regard, I mean, I think what India will achieve in the World Cup would be reflective of what kind of a World Cup Rohit ends up having, because he's here uh, because of what he did in the 50-over World Cup. So they want him to just replicate it. If he's not able to replicate it, then it just becomes very difficult. Then you want Sky to bail the team out, or Kohli to bat unlike himself at number three. And if he sets the tone in the power play, then things become relatively easier for the batting lineup. So this is where I think India cannot have Rohit.
But so the question of who was opening with Rohit was only because Rohit was captain, and only
That's
because
what I'm
Rohit
saying.
was.
See, now that he is there, he needs to deliver. If he's not delivering, then that just, I mean, that's just sad, because you're the leader. You shouldn't be there on numbers, but now that you are, you should be delivering. That is the point.
In some quarters of the Indian fan base and the Indian cricket team fan base that we have, everyone calls Rohit as an intent merchant, even though he's the captain of this team. We saw that come to fruition for the World Cup, because all those impactful knocks that he had for the ODI World Cup was supplemented with Virat's knocks. Do you think you'll be happy with that kind of World Cup again for Rohit if he's?
I think I will take a 16 ball 30. If he guarantees a 16 ball 30 in every game, I would mark that as a success. But that should come in all big games as well, and not against the minnows.
But knowing Rohit's T20 international pedigree, so would you want 50, 60, 70s from
I don't
Rohit?
think so. I mean, I think we saw that in the Chennai game as well. He tends to get tired. He's not as fit as Virat Kohli. He starts losing his shape after a while.
But if you can't face 20 or 30 balls, then you shouldn't be playing
20, 30 ball, theek hai. If he's staying till 20, 30, then he should be scoring a 60. He cannot, I mean, he cannot play like Virat ki bhai hum 30 ball mein main 45 hu, main baad mein cover up karunga. That won't happen with him. So if he's facing 30 balls, he should be at least 55 to 60.
Okay. I really agree with one part of the fact that even I was daringly going to go with Rohit as my MVP, only because I wanted to end on a really, really nice tone for him. The only guy to play all the World Cups is an Indian. I know the Shakib and all Bangladesh fans will get chatty, but with Rohit, it's all worked out for him in the T20 World Cup. And I really wish it does work out for him as a batter, as an opener, as a captain, and more importantly, as just a human being, right? So let's see if you boys agree or disagree with Som's MVP. You can't really disagree with him, but Jeet, Akshay, what do you guys have as your one man for India this tournament to take?
I'll go first. I'm just scared Jeet might take my name. So there's no way on earth I can look past Jasprit Bumrah. He has to be. It's such an obvious name, I know, but Bumrah, it's going to be Bumrah over everyone. I can even probably. I mean, an Indian fan can still probably digest an out of form Kohli. There is enough, batting meat, so to say, outside Kohli to handle an out of form Kohli, but they cannot handle an out of form Bumrah, or Bumrah not picking wickets for them. So it will be Bumrah for me. There's no questions asked, eyes closed. It's got to be Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah, the fact that we did miss him last time around, Jeet Bumrah, does he make himself automatically as the MVP here, or is Virat Kohli making a strong case for that MVP shout? Oh, come on, Jeet. Shut up.
Can't do that to me.
The suspense goes on. I think Jeet will sort himself out in just a bit, but I was going to go for Rohit Sharma, but before Som stole that answer for me, I will go for Virat Kohli, though, because I know we're going for senior statesmen and stalwarts, and all of those words, veterans, come to mind. But there's something about the aura of those two in particular, and that the new landscape that they'll want to absolutely dazzle, which is the USA, and then, of course, the West Indies. Hopefully, like Jay Shah finally said while appointing Rohit Sharma as the captain, saying Barbados mein cup jeetega wo and all of that on June 29th comes to the core. Let's try to get Jeet back on right now, and he's there. You were just going to say India's MVP is.
I hope I'm clearly audible though. My Wi-Fi is not working properly. Is it perfect?
Yeah,
It's
but I
better
think
now. It's better now.
Lovely.
Avnish is
No,
out.
this testing.
Well done, well done.
Oh wow, man! Good job. Wow.
Well done. Jeet, go on.
Yeah, so I'm always on the bandwagon of the intent machine, so I'm going to go with Yashasvi Jaiswal. Of course, it will require him to open, and I hope India open with Jaiswal and Rohit. Please don't get carried away by what happens in the IPL. Just because somebody is doing really well in the IPL as an opener, with respect to Virat Kohli, you don't need to go for Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma for the national team. Stick with Yashasvi Jaiswal, have that right hand and left hand combination. Not to forget, since Jaiswal made his debut in the T20I format, amongst all the openers with over 500 runs as an opener, Jaiswal has a second best strike rate. So you can't look past that. India lack that intent machine in the top order, and Jaiswal is going to provide that. So I just hope that India stick with that Yashasvi Jaiswal and Rohit Sharma combination as the openers.
I think that'll be the inevitable selection. We all went second guessing during the IPL multiple times in our watch alongs, but India's 11, and we're bored of that chat. So go check that out. And if you guys know as well, you definitely know what we've gone for our World Cup 11s. More on that in just a bit. And more on that during the watch along of the first ever India game this World Cup, India Ireland on the 5th of June. That'll be an 8 p.m. game. So don't worry, we'll be there locked and loaded in with you to, of course, figure the pieces out. Raul Duke appreciating the fake freeze. Yeah, thanks for that. And just a score update from New York. It's so weird to say that with cricket. 182 for 5, 20 overs gone. And Ravindra Jadeja, what a knock. 6 ball 4. The man that
Exactly,
I'm backing.
clutch.
He comes good. Whether he performs in the bat or the ball or in the field, watch this space. Jadeja will turn a game on its head. One game, so come on. I know you.
But one game कैसा Canada USA के against if he turns the game around लेके क्या करना है?
Clutch game, भाई. ये छोटा मोटा is not KL. Jadeja hai for a reason.
But to lose or to win, you did mention that.
to win for India, of course, not for the opposition. More questions to take in just a bit, because we're actually way over time. But quickly, because it's tradition in these 4 previews that we've done. Group A winners. Who's going to finish first and second order doesn't matter. 2 teams who will get out of these 5.
I wish
I
it's
think one
Indian
can
Ireland.
speak for all here.
Yeah, Indian Islands. So
I wish it's Indian Ireland.
Yeah, okay. I'm saying India and USA. Love that. Absolutely
Maybe
love
India
that.
USA बोले आधा. I'm guessing Seed is going to say India Pakistan because he started with. I think we can speak for all. Yeah, so clearly he's going for the safer choice. I'll go.
Now I don't
India
think so.
अभी India Canada ताकि सबका एक combination हो गया.
And what about you, Jeet? Because I know if our good old mate Gurkirat was with us, he would have been like Canada.
एक ही statement के साथ कितने लोगों को offend कर सकता है? Avnish is probably just trying to break the record.
Actually, I heard Akshay say India Kannada. So I mean, I was like, कि ये क्या कर रहा है?
But surely no one's going for Canada. But yeah, in all honesty, I think all of us are just hinting India Pakistan. But we're just having fun and games over here. Speaking of India Pakistan, can India do what they do against Pakistan in World Cups, which is dismantle them with ease? I know the last time around it was that crazy game in Melbourne. Haris Rauf will definitely still have nightmares when he walks up to bowl against Virat Kohli this time around. Can we see something crazy? Can New York and the USA be just gripped with India-Pakistan fever? So, you?
I mean, yeah, I mean, the amount of expatriates both countries enjoy, I mean, it's going to be jam-packed. From whatever tickets are already sold out or are pretty expensive to buy. So, yeah, let's see. I mean, pitch and the outfield is the big question here, how that turns up on the day. But see, I mean, from all the other previous editions, this India-Pakistan game is just a friendly, so to speak. It's not going to make a huge difference unless these teams falter against the the minnows. So let's see how it pans out. Probably it would have been better to have that game a little later in the fixtures, but given it's at the initial stage, that sort of makes it even more irrelevant. Because had the two teams entered that game with, let's say, India or Pakistan dropping a point against Ireland, and that would have spiced up this game a bit more.
Yeah, that wasn't part of the Wings McMahon plan. I mean, Jesha plan is what I meant to say. But you mentioned ticket price there. Do you have any idea what's the highest ticket for India Pakistan in New York this time?
I heard it's around $12,000.
Wow, that is mad. The
That's what I
Eisenhower Stadium. God bless all of you guys. Props if you guys tell me the American president he was in the chat really quickly. But guys, India Pakistan for y'all. Do India cruise through? What will we be doing at the end of 9th of June? Hopefully, watching the neighbors break TVs, right, Jeet?
Potentially, yeah, but again, we don't know. There are so many unknowns this time around with regards to the venue, the pitch as well. I know it's a drop-in pitch, but at the end of the day, we don't know how the outfield is going to behave either. So there are too many unknowns that we will be entering with. Of course, by then we would know, but as of now, we don't know how it's going to behave. So potentially, yeah, India do start as slight favorites. I don't see a team running away with it, whether it's Pakistan who finishes the eventual winners or India. I don't see how it's going to be a one-sided clash altogether. But again, I just hope maybe India take that win. But at the end of the day, it's kind of irrelevant in terms of the influence it's going to have on the seedings in the particular group.
Okay, Akshay, will we get another Kohli goes down the ground, Kohli goes out of the ground moment in the Caribbean this time, in particular the USA? And if Kohli does have a good show, the whole of NYC boy will be lit.
For sure, I mean that goes without saying. But again, like Jeet said, just too many unknowns. We hardly know, hardly have any idea. आज पहला warm up match हो रहा है, तो I don't think. Wait, is this match happening in Nassau County or is it happening in Dallas? Okay, all right.
County, nice
So
county.
देखना पड़ेगा, idea मिलेगा, because from what I understand, थोड़ा movement भी है for pacers and stuff like that. It'll be very interesting to see, which is what makes it that much more spicy. Because पहले क्या होता था, it would become a lot more easier to predict because this is going to be the result. This time around, maybe that sort of uncertainty will just add more to our viewing experience. कि बॉस कैसा खेलेगा surface, क्या होगा, and probably we'll just have to make a match out of it in our own heads at the very least. नहीं तो it's an irrelevant game. जो जहाँ जीते seeding तो तय है. India is going to play Australia, New Zealand and Sri Lanka. तो क्या ही करना है.
Okay, interesting. Rahul Duke saying Hardik will be the MVP of that game. Prayash Fuyal saying Indian Pakistan qualify, US in third, and Ireland and Canada to wrap up this particular group. Look, we'll wrap up proceedings right now, mega preview, because I think my sister's called me 15 times and she's not happy the fact that you're on holiday, you can't do this. Please, this is unbelievable. Tell them. I was like, listen, it's a job. The World Cup fucking starts tomorrow. You got to understand that cricket and work is worship, lady. Let's go. But parting thoughts, gentlemen, just to like annoy her a little bit more.
I'll just start. Guys, 12 p.m. tomorrow, What's Up World Cup. The first sort of review of it goes live. It'll be Jeet, Pramod, and I. The three of us we will be reviewing all the games. So till the 19th of June for the uninitiated, we will be doing a daily review of all the games. So we'll talk about the game, the players, performances, and whatnot. And we will be doing watch-alongs for the India games. This is till the 19th of June. For the Super 8s, every day we will be doing a watch-along at 8 p.m. sharp, irrespective of who's playing. And then, of course, the watch-alongs will take care of themselves. So do tune into the match reviews as well, because we will be talking about a lot of these lesser-known teams, lesser-known names. So it'll be great for us as well, great for you guys as well in terms of knowing these, coming across these new names. So yeah, please make sure you tune in tomorrow.
And it's not just a review, because we're going to be previewing the games on that day as well. So it'll include trending bits. It'll include pretty much all the great stats which we dish out on cricket.com, and not to forget a little trivia in terms of World Cup, who am I? So lots more in that Power Pack show with Akshay and the boys. In fact, Adya, and you have a great question which we'll take in that review show. So join us then, and we will, of course, answer a few. We're way over time, and we apologize for you. And me and Rahul Duke just being absolutely chatty. I think he's the new Chant right now. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely look like Azam Khan. I mean, we talk about Pakistan preview, and now I've become, I don't know, Shafeen Rutherford or something like that, except the fact that I'm still British. I don't know, weird compliment. Let's go then, boys. Thank you so much for your time. Somesh, amazing to see you and chat cricket with you as always. Jeet, you've been a sport and giving us all the stuff that we love about all these lesser known teams. And Akshay being Akshay is what we need on cricket.com. We'll see you soon. And give Nick some love on his fantasy show quickly before that USA Canada game gets on later on in the morning. Who you're going to captain, vice captain in terms of your fantasy cricket teams. It's a fascinating sort of insight. 15-minute digest in terms of building your ultimate 11 and winning big. Lots to love on cricket.com, that's for sure. And hope you've had fun in all our mega previews. Go check it out if you guys love our content. And that's all we have time for. Me, Avni Shagde, signing off yet again with a cap on my head. 4 out of 4 shows for the first time in my life. It's a goodbye to all you lovely boys, girls, aunties, uncles, and grannies in Phuket. Cheers.
Cheers.